So what you're talking about there is the difference between what we call a warm approach and a cold approach. A warm approach is a relational approach. You find their vulnerability, you make everybody feel like they're friends, and you make everybody feel like they're warm and cozy, and you do all the mirroring stuff I talked about. All the stuff you don't want to talk about, that's all warm approach. What you're getting at right now is what's known as a cold approach. And a cold approach is usually very heavily centered on on a motivation that we know is coercive in nature. And I think I've told you about the 4 different motivators in the past, right? One of the 4 motivators is coercion. I know you're in debt. I know you're cheating on your wife. I know your son's dying of a rare form of cancer. I know that whatever, right? I know that the mob is out to kill you and whatever else. I have some piece of information that you have that you don't share with anybody. Right. You've probably also heard me talk about our 3 lives: public life, secret life, and private life. I have some piece of information from your secret life that you don't share with anybody. And now I'm coming up to you and I'm still being cordial when I step into the bar and I say, "Hi, Julian, how are you today?" And you look at me and you're like, "I'm fine. Have we met somewhere?" And I was like, "No, but I'm really glad that we had a chance to meet today because I understand that you're in a situation with your son right now and that you're having a hard time finding any place that'll give him the medical attention that he needs. And I'm here to tell you I can solve that for you. I can have your son in front of a doctor that's going to give him life-saving medical care within the next 6 months. But what I need you to do for me is X, Y, Z." And most people are going to give me a look that's like, because they're frozen. In the hierarchy of how people respond to strangers, there's 3 phases. Okay. There's an avoidant phase, a competition phase, and then there's a phase where they comply. Avoidance, competition, compliance, right? Those are the 3 phases. Everybody starts from avoidance. So when you hit on a cute girl or when a cute girl says something nice to you, there's a reason that you stand there and you just go, because you're in the avoidance phase. You're not engaging her. When you compliment a cute girl and she looks at you like you're crazy, she's in the avoidance phase too. She might actually think you're cute. She might actually like the compliment, but her natural human instinct has her in a position where she's not going to talk and she's not going to engage because the first phase is avoidance. So I'm expecting that when I tell this person, I can save your son's life, and I know that you've been trying to do that for the last 6 months, and we're going to have it fixed within the year, I'm expecting that person to look at me and be like, "Fuck you, who are you? I don't know what you're talking about," right? That's the avoidance phase. As we continue to push on that, and I tell them, look, the life-saving care that we have is waiting for him in a specialty hospital in Maryland, inside the United States. I can have all expenses paid, and we can have your entire family there, before the fall. Then I expect to go into a competition phase. Who are you? Where did you get this information? How do you know about my son? They might even get up and try to leave, right? They're showing me that they're actually curious about the information.
Try to leave, but they don't get to leave.
Right.
How do you keep them there?
Like, you don't have to keep them there. The information, the pitch, the coercion, that coercive element that you've put in there, you already know it's strong enough to get them to stay.
What about the 10% of people where it's not, though? The 10% of situations where they walk out of there, then they could just go yo, I just got approached by a CIA guy.
That's true. But you know what happens more often than not in that 10%? They come back to you. They come back to you.
But in the meantime, do you have to get out of the country because the heat might be on you?
No, because
you're not nervous.
You've got that person's... When you're going to approach somebody coercively, you have them on lockdown. You're listening to their phone. You're watching their email address. You watch them walk into that location. You watch them when they leave that location. You've got them pinned down. The reason you're taking this level of effort is because it's worth it. You don't put yourself at this much risk unless that person is so worthwhile that you're willing to bring in, not just you, but you and your team and your supervisors and everybody at Langley. They're all like, yes, this person is important enough that we're going to commit these kind of resources, right? Is there a chance that someone's going to go to their boss and be like, "I just got approached by CIA"? Of course there's a chance of that. But then what happens to them once they tell their boss that?
Well, if they're in the wrong country, that could go the wrong way.
That could go the wrong way quickly. So now all of a sudden the boss is like, "How did CIA know about you? How'd they know about your son?
You're a vulnerability.
You're a vulnerability. Yeah. We need you out of this job. You just lost your this. You just lost your that." So they don't want to tell anybody about that. So what we're doing is we're putting them in a double coercive vice. There's our coercion where we're saying, we know you have a problem. We're your only option to fix it. And then if they do have the usually it's not good sense. Usually it's some sort of panic reaction where they get up and they shuffle their stuff all together and they leave the bar. 10 minutes after they left, then they have the real oh shit moment where they're like, oh shit, like, what do I do? I can't tell my boss. I can't tell my wife. I can't tell my son. I can't look at myself in the mirror. All I've got is hopefully the business card that we gave them right before they left. If you change your mind, call this number.
So fresh, son.